Hi guys, hello everybody. It's me, Philip Dredging from Moscow, Russia, and Dustin from Buffalo, aka Berserker Bear, or Bushwhacking History of the Buffalo, right? The new name of the channel. Just turn your mic on.
Yeah, Bushwhacking History in Buffalo. You got it.
Bushwhacking History in Buffalo.
How you doing, Phil?
As you can see, pretty much fine. Been busy with all this job and all this crap in May, as what they say, sell in May and go away. This time it wasn't like that. Nobody sold anything in May and went away. Everybody wanted something from me, and just it was quite a busy month. Although I even had a chance to go to sea for around 5 days, and I just moved my family to the sea and returned to Moscow. So right now I have more time for video creation. Probably do second part of 1971 video, which I got a lot of evidence, as I told you, new evidence about the appearance of so-called biological threat that we obviously seen these days, and how it's relevant to what I was saying about the recent times of the previous 19th century, as I was always saying that the clay is the best substance to accommodate all this biological trash, like corpses and bodies and of people and animals and so on. So for radiation, it's the best absorbent of everything. Actually, you can even find a lot of places in Russia where all these burials of dead animals from the pandemics and everything, like it's always like this. It's called burials. And I was planning to talk about one of the biggest archaeological burial place discovered in Russia, probably in the world. At least it was like that. Right now it's been trashed for around a century. Everybody was planning and doing real estate there, constructions, streets, and so the place was ruined very much. Right now we have only a small tiny cluster of that, and it's still one of the biggest in the world. And I believe they have around 4 periods of time of archaeological periods, and they can show it in many artifacts.
Is it bigger than the terracotta warriors that they uncovered in China?
Yes, it's bigger, and they even have some stuff similar to what they found in China there already found. So I mean, nobody's actually interested in that side. I don't know actually why.
I am.
So we're gonna talk about that later. So let's just start with the comment. As I've been saying, one person sent me a comment, and I would like you to play a role of narrator and kind of advocate him.
Why? Because nobody can understand you, Phil?
Because nobody can understand how I argue with myself. Probably it's going to look like something very stupid if you argue with yourself. So
all right, let's do it. Want me to share?
Yep.
Okay, well, let me cue it up right quick. Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I also write in comments during our chat, and maybe we'll read your comment if it's relative to what we are talking about. So we don't have to actually see what is written. You just see the screenshot from the comment thread of my channel. So some person there, good the hot, wrote me a comment. So Dustin will read it.
So, okay. The commenter wrote, it's not a sign for a mud flood. People do like basement windows. Planes are not all flats. And also, in some cases, buildings do sink in. Philip's response, yeah, right. Exclamation point. Sinking buildings is a nonsense claim, but I agree people make windows, but not this kind where the water will immediately flow inside if it rains or after flooding, which recorded a bunch of times during the 20th centuries. Listen accurately to what I said before claiming something baseless next time. By the way, I just read this briefly before, right quick. Philip briefed me. By the way, give me an example of construction that was created with basement floor, with bricked up windows, and another 1 to 3 floors below basement floor with entrance from second floor window, and so on. I have contradictory evidence for you. I just showed you that, Phil. We'll talk about this, though. Okay, so the commenter replied back.
All right, let's just stop at this comment.
Okay.
So we have like 2 or 3 claims here. First one is, like I say, the most relevant to this is the buildings do sink in, right? So that claim is definitely should be talked about. And the second one is what you say is what you believe is you said it could be related to some road planning or, city planning procedures, which can level up some streets, take away some hills maybe, and spread that mud all over the place, right? And bury first floors of those buildings that already exist, right?
You see the title of this album that I have, right quick?
It can't be sinking.
You want to show you? I'm going to show you where I am.
Yeah, let's just go through your stuff and then go through what is sinking, what is sediment, how it's related to...
I'll tell you what I think. Yeah. I'll paint my picture. All right, so where I am here...
Definitely in a buffalo.
That's right, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if you see my video where I show that, dude, or what I say is they've had these... It was probably all laid out ahead of time, city planned, radio gridded out, and it could be just terraforming because there is a system underneath my basement, Philip, that I hear the water draining into. So they accounted for it, in my opinion, or it was the foundations were here and they just...
Yeah, have you learned when the drainage and sewage were planned?
Yeah, 1804. It's right here. It's right
1904.
1804. In 1804, it was New Amsterdam buffalo. Joseph Ellicott is... Michelle Gibson's did research on this recently, and I'm going to talk to her about this stuff. Actually,
so Buffalo was actually bigger than Chicago.
Buffalo is huge. That's the whole thing. That's one of my arguments that I'm trying to build a story on with my videos. So anyway, here, let me show you where I am. We're along the river, and this is... I always can't find it right away. I just want to show you the buildings where I am by the marina.
The date
here,
Buffalo
right
was found at what day, actually? Buffalo?
1805. It became the city of Buffalo from...
you're saying that the sewage system was planned before the city was...
Yeah, I think all this, Philip, my whole paradigm outlook on things is, yeah, everything was here for a very long time. And even if it burned in 1812, like they say, per history, I have history on that. I think this stuff was here a very, 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 very long time.
Okay, so, let's go.
Here I am. I'm at these buildings right here. This is the...
it's the level of the river, basically, right?
Hold up. No, I'm not... Hold up. That's where I am. I'm taking these pictures pretty much from this parking lot right here at these buildings, okay? And when I say it can't be sinking, I don't think mud came in and did this. This is like the top of a window. This is like ground level right here. It doesn't make sense. Do I think that that's because of a mud flood? No. They probably just did... here, let me build more of an argument. This is a lower, ground level windows or whatever. Cool architecture. This is like tops of windows, and that's like 2 feet off the ground, right? Do I think that's because of a mud flood? No. Do I think that this building, when people say sink, I think that they're referring to those huge heavy cathedrals, or they use the Leaning Tower of Pisa. These buildings are real light, in my opinion. These red brick, they're like shells. So they're not really that heavy, and sinking doesn't make sense to me in that case. I don't necessarily buy the whole sinking thing.
By the way, they say in construction study book, they said that the brick building are the most heaviest.
So here we go.
They sink the most. They sink the most, bro.
All right, now let me just go over this though.
in comparison to wooden buildings, in comparison to
This is what I think they
block
did, Philip.
buildings.
Okay, this is another book that I have. Okay, you hear my neighbors cutting the lawn, crushing.
And I don't think that building is a very good example of a mudflood building also, bro.
It illustrated my point, so we'll leave it at that, homie.
It's near the river, first of all. It's on the level of river,
dare
so
you.
it could be flooded.
All right, here's what they did, dude, and we're talking. This will get us into the dredging.
Okay.
I showed you the book. This is what goes on, yo. It goes from that to that, and the way they do it is like Philip, like you addressed, with that. Boom.
That's what I was saying.
So
That's
yeah,
what I was
so it's
saying.
very easy to. That's why I say sandbox the realm. They're just taking stuff and moving it from here and there.
Yeah, just
over
imagine.
and over.
Just imagine how can you do it with a city full of people?
Like you said, Dubai, they make islands like Palm Jabal.
Yeah,
Literally making islands.
I was gonna show that also. How do you say say they're gonna do it with the city full of people?
Look at this.
This is
Digging it
supposed
out
to be
or covering it up?
non-inhabited during this procedure. I mean, you cannot live in a city while they just flooding that stuff into the streets and canals and everything, right? There's no sewage, there's no water supply during that time. I don't think you can even
Also, we had
something there.
We had the ability. I mean, they lay track anywhere. You can lay track. You can lay canal. You can water canal. Little things. I showed that with the monitors.
What are these pictures dated? The one with the
book.
canal.
Well, you know what? That's the thing. The book is dated itself. It's a newer book, Phil. That's a great question. This is. Oh goodness. This is a copyright of 1997, but these pictures are probably well, you know what? This is dated 10/7. I don't know.
I think it's late 1800s. It's
here you go. It says 1924. There you go, homie.
What about those that with the canals and stuff that was?
Well, I gotta still do that. I'm like, that's a whole.
Just go back to those pictures.
Oh, you want to see those
have
pictures?
a date?
Yeah. Now look at this too. Look at how big the industry was, and look at how this is Lackawanna steel, slag. We talked about slag before, and what spoil tips are. I mean,
yeah. What I see right now from your pictures is that you actually supporting that this post mudflood world was pretty strange, and they used those technologies that were left. Actually,
let me distinguish. I don't subscribe to the idea of a realm-wide total inundation of mud. To me, that sounds catastrophism type of deal.
Who does?
Well, Michelle Gibson does that, and I respect her work and research. Let's leave it at that. I don't subscribe to that. It could be done in little places like this. If you do something like this, it can be labeled like a reset, if you will. In hindsight, can be labeled a catastrophe.
There's a date there during 1920s.
So okay, there you go. From 1924.
Yeah. So what we see is actually a dirty canal filled with mud. Right?
Listen,
and
let me make that point, Philip.
Let me make that point. There, this was an healthy place. Probably nobody lived there. Look at that.
Well, I think that it was all canals. Also, I think a portion.
These buildings are empty, as you can see. These buildings are empty. The windows are black. Everything is locked. Nobody lives there. This is the post mudflood cleanup operation in Buffalo, is what you're witnessing here. They just creating all this maintenance, doing new types of sewage system because old one is filled with mud, probably buried. Nobody will gonna
swole up.
Yep.
Distinguish between mudflood, because I just said I don't necessarily subscribe to the whole mudflood inundation. What's the mechanism? Where does it come from? Is it a bolide impact like Randall Carlson? I say more local events spotted, dotted throughout the realm. Reset here, reset there. Empty cities in China. I cite the proper people. They go to these abandoned places.
I didn't say anything global. I'm just saying about this actual city.
Well,
and this operation.
Well, I just want to distinguish when you use the term flippant, well, not flippant, but like mud flood. I don't.
Mudflood.
Yeah,
It's easy to remember, and that's it.
I
Just
think
forget
that
forget
true that.
about those words. I was saying that a bunch of
Okay,
times. Mudflood is just a brand for these
that's
recess.
on your channel.
Yeah, that's it. Why
Yeah.
it's mud? Because if you actually excavate something, you see it consists of mud. That's it.
Well, yeah, I agree. This stuff.
And how
And
does it flood it? Either it's flooded like this,
well,
or
look,
it's
it kind of
flooded
looks like
like
a
a
monitor.
volcanic eruption. Yeah, it's just a pump.
Yeah, like you
It's
said
just a
before,
pump.
you can like, and they do that. The picture actually that you use for the thumb shows that,
Yeah,
right?
just like they do with concrete. If they find a hole or something in the ground,
So, guys,
they,
keep in
they
mind
put concrete there, and it's flooded. And you can say it's flooded, right?
that's a good point, Philip. You're right. And actually,
That's why
thanks
it's
for
mud
checking me
flood.
on that. Right.
It's
Okay.
nothing more, guys. If you think that there is a global event, something was flowing everywhere, it's typical nonsense that they do actually
I don't
bring
want to.
all this stuff to this just to discredit what I do, guys.
Well, let's. I don't want to. I definitely don't want to throw jabs or whatever. Like I said, Michelle subscribes to that. I'm going to have a
I don't know
conversation with
what
her.
she subscribes to that. If you want to bring her in, just bring her in. We're gonna talk
Well, I'm
about
going to
what
have
she's
a
talking
conversation
about.
with her. We're going to have another chat soon about the architecture, the Robert Law Olmsted.
She also does subscribe to some Moorish nonsense and all that stuff that everybody's
How
hyping
dare
on
you?
right now.
They was kings. Philip,
Don't believe the hype, guys.
they still are.
There
Well,
is
I disagree with you.
barbarian lands.
Bring
Doesn't mean
it to the table,
anything.
Philip.
That
I have the
doesn't
books
mean anything. I have
I-
ancient maps, guys, with code and everything, and
Where's your
setting up
sources,
all this.
Philip?
It's 18th, 19th century ancient maps.
Well, yeah, I agree with her on the
Before
Moorish
edition. Before edition.
I have a Moorish neighbor, Philip, across the street from me. Who we didn't talk about this before. Yeah, this is direct
I
evidence.
was saying that before. The black people and other people lived everywhere.
What do you mean by black?
Lived everywhere.
The guy across the street from me is blacker than Bruce Smith, and he's Cuban. He bumps his Havana music every Saturday and Sunday
You
night.
can call him whatever you want to call him. You can call us Caucasians. You can call us Aryans. You can call us whatever. Everybody lived everywhere.
He's
All
going to do
types
boots on
of
the ground with me
people.
too.
All types of people are recorded everywhere. That's what I say can
Mr.
say.
Man, you know what I'm talking about.
All types of people. You can find tracks of black people in Russian history. You can find poets, famous poets. The best Russian poet is black, actually.
So
his name was Pushkin.
There you go. That's what we say. Philip is in the wake now. We don't need to worry about it.
But you cannot say that there was a Moorish empire. There was not.
I didn't say that. It's interesting to research. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm proposing questions.
It was a region. It was a region. It was an empire. Empire is when you connect at least two continents, at least two. Europe and Asia, for example, or Europe and Africa.
Oh, like Constantinople. Huh.
Yeah, so there was only one empire, Empire of Ross, and then we have tracks of that also in the ancient maps.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Philip. What did you just say? The Empire of what?
Ross. It was called Ross, Rosh, whatever you want to call it.
In the beginning of this movie, I recommend this movie. It's a great movie. I love Viggo Mortensen. In the beginning of this movie,
close up one more time. You're on the screen.
Okay, cool. Yeah, here you go. Sorry.
Eastern Promises.
Vori vi zakoni. I always have an admiration for the Russian mafia. So I think it's awesome talking to you, Philip. Like that's another story. I always appreciate our conversations, but I recommend this. And in the opening scene in this movie it's a very graphic movie. Beware, but they dispatch of somebody and they refer to him as take this Rus out. And I'm like Philip would know that. So check that movie out. They say it right in the beginning scene. Rus.
Well, it's actually a topic of another big video, which I'm just planning to do it after I'm done with 1971, after I'm done with World War II. Also, just a warm up before, just wrap this one up, and I'm gonna show. We're gonna return to your stuff a little bit later.
Yeah.
Just a second.
You want me to stop sharing?
Yeah, whatever.
Well, come on, Maestro.
Okay,
Are you going to show
see.
something? Yeah, I think they canaled all this stuff. You know what? Let me.
That is about cracks on the walls. That's what I was trying to say to that person.
I want to give a shout out to my boy Neil. You guys see in the background over here, over my right shoulder, that map. That's a map of Cleveland that was given to me, that was gifted to me by a friend, Neil, up in Toronto, and they actually call Toronto.
So, for example, this is a modern house, as you can see, right? Do you see what I'm showing?
Did you override my stop sharing?
I don't know. You probably have to see what I'm showing right now. Can you see it?
Yeah, I got you now. Yep.
Yeah, this is just an example of how cannot you know? You cannot know actually what is inside the ground when you construct a building right now. So you can have anything. You can have bubbles there. You can have rocks there. You can have maybe an ancient house there. Who knows? Maybe an ancient grave. Who actually knows? People still find it while constructing their houses. So you might even do a geological research before you get the permit to construct your house, and most of the people do it. And sometimes when you build it in the street where already research, it's easy to get the permit when you do it in a clear field where nobody ever built anything. So and you actually do a foundation works like this, and you create something like a trench and make a concrete there and stuff like this. So you might actually excavate something while doing that. And that is a great information, because you can only find out something after actually doing those excavations, doing those procedures.
You want me to follow up on that right quick? I have a picture to show. Amazing.
If you don't do that, you have a huge risk of three types of it's called shrinkage, right? Because the clay can shrink, and the house can shrink also, because it has some materials that can shrink. So
settling.
It calls settling also, because the process is called settling, and they have the process. What they say actually, that is a question on the construction forum. The settling of the brick house can be as long as 1 year up to 5 years. In some certain cases, it can be up to 10 years. So there's no way it can be settling for hundreds of years. So that's what this actually says. I mean, it's up to 10 years in general. So now you wanted to say something?
Yeah, let me share a screen right quick.
Okay.
You want to say stuff about underground?
So the point is that the settling process is very well known, and everybody knew that before they started to construct anything, because once you construct a second building, you already know about settling. Okay? That's what I was trying to say.
Talk about underground. This is Niagara Falls, the tunnel. And, I'm not even going to put, what? This is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, some bubbles, some caves, anything can happen once you start construction.
Well, no, hold on. Couple that with this article. And it literally says there are thousands of vaults. I put this in my last video, or a couple ago. There are thousands of vaults and tunnels hidden under the streets of Buffalo. Clearly, there's some vault type action, allegedly. And I mean, every other thing in this diagram is delineated, Philip. Upper river, entrance, canal, rock, tunnel, lower river. Aside from these really anomalous things. So it's all, and then you got an article that references them. So there, you certainly can get to some stuff underground. That's all I wanted to follow up on that.
Yeah, of course. So once you do that, you actually find out that you can have this settling non-even. First case is when you have like just a small crack on the wall. It's called leaning settling with cracks. The second one is leaning settling without cracks. Is it's just because your foundation is very stiff and it's solid enough for your house to lean to the side without cracking. And it calls the even settling without cracking, this third one. So we can assume that these three types of settling are available, but there's also clay shrinkage. What causes clay shrink? Why does clay shrink? Clay shrinks both during drying process and firing process. Shrinkage of drying process occurs due to loss of water layers. As you know, if you build, for example, that exact house that you show near the river, it probably doesn't have any clay shrinkage at all because it's located near the river, so it's rather moist there, and every water from the town goes into the direction of river, so probably passes that building also, and so there's no clay shrinkage there.
Let me show you another picture here, Philip, that I have an example of ground level windows right down the street from my house.
So, and there is a question. Building foundation need to be stable and strong soil. Soil with good structure is more stable. Clay textures are often more stable than sand textures because they have better structure. However, a mix of particles is best for engineering. So what they're saying is never build something on clay because it's unstable, actually, right? Or build it with the good precautions. And there's also questions: how do I stabilize clay? How do I pour concrete on clay? So clay is very bad material for creating foundations for something like houses. And we see all these houses that have mudflood evidence that they built and flooded by the clay. So probably they also built on the clay.
Let me share screen.
Okay.
I took a walk this morning. Excuse me, that coffee went down the wrong tube, man. All right. Can you see it?
Let's see. No, you just turned it off.
So I took a walk this morning, and this is down the street from my house, effectively. Now, ground level windows, let's address it. This is a climate where water will get in there. And obviously they're accounting for that a little bit here, aftermarket. What do you think about this stuff here, Philip?
It's pretty brand new one. It's just the basement windows.
Well, I have the basement windows here, and again, water gets in them, but they account for them. There's a system underneath here. So
yeah, I'm saying it because these are brand new ones, as you can see. This is not even beginning of 20th century. It's probably, as you can see, the level here. The street was also cut, as you've been saying, in the planning stuff. So they planned this to be a landscape like this, to be something like a border or something.
Now here goes City Hall. What? I was there yesterday. This is the center. Right there. This is the center. There goes my little girl. This is the center of the radial grid street pattern here in Buffalo. I'll do a video about this one.
Just imagine this building settling for centuries, is what this guy said.
Well, this was allegedly constructed in 1920, I think, around that time. I got to do a video on it, and they have construction photos. They seem legitimate. We'll see.
Have it sunk a millimeter.
Well, you know what? I have pictures of the base. Let me show you. Because this is right smack dab in the middle of this street, this public square. That's where I am right now. That's where that obelisk is right now. Right there. Okay, so I do have picture of the base of. Now this is the base of that building, City Hall, right here. So we're right here. Watch, my girl. That's City Hall. You see how it's got, facade, whatever.
Yeah, fence. Facing. It's called facing.
So there you go. See how it's got the facing right here? Now, right along this edge, this grass, can you see?
Yep.
Is where I was walking along and I seen. It's just interesting. I don't know what I'm looking at, Philip. I just see that this is underneath that facing, right? And
It's probably just the
look, hey,
remains
look,
of the facing
look
before
at
that
that
was done
street sign,
before.
dude. Look at how buried that is. It's a mud flood.
No, bro.
Joking. But anyway, yeah, look, you got brick, we got facing, original foundation. We have a date.
I don't think that is original. Just the remains of the previous facing that was down there.
And then we know that buffalo was raised. That's my little girl. There you go, Niagara Square. That's where we are, right here. Boom. And that is radial street pattern done by Ellicott. And I think that what people see as mudflood, or what they attribute to, realm-wide mudflood, or whatever you want to say, localized mudflood, whatever, street, or at least in some cases, street level windows can be attributed to radial street pattern grid, in my opinion. There you go. I'll stop sharing. Oh, what else do I got here? Okay, yeah. Here go the land plots, parcels in Buffalo. That's Niagara Square. That's right where that obelisk is. And that's City Hall. That's a pretty cool website I have there. So what do you got, Philip?
I'll just continue with what I was saying about cracks. So when you see any sediment of the building, any of these sinking procedures, you will find cracks everywhere, small cracks, and so on. So the causes of the cracks, most common causes of crack and ground moving beneath foundation caused by clay shrinkage, as I was saying. The most common, guys, I'm not just saying what they say. Landslip, vibration, subsidence, settlement. So all of this is proceeded in first 10 years when building is constructed, as I read to you. So very often it's only 1 year. Less frequently it's up to 5 years, and very rare it's up to 10 years. So foundation failure, also due to the decay of soft clay, brick, concrete erosion, due to chemical contaminants, and so on. And so on and so on. Moisture movement, thermal movement. So the most common are ground movement, as I was saying. So it's number one. Okay. Also, they discuss here size of the cracks, how many millimeters can be in each type of crack: hairline cracks, fine cracks, cracks that easily filled, cracks that require opening up, extensive damage, structural damage, and so on. Also wanted to talk about subsidence. Subsidence occurs when soil beneath a building is unstable and sinks downward. The opposite effect of subsidence is heave, where the side upon which the building is situated moves upwards or sideways. And is also, subsidence is a common problem for homeowners in London. London is filled with those buildings which have mudflood evidence due to its construction on London clay. Hear what they say, London clay. One of 50 houses in London and Southeast has suffered from subsidence. So 1 in 50. It's like 2% of the houses had suffered from subsidence because they all built on clay. Okay. Why do buildings sink? Why do buildings' foundations sink? There are two main reasons that lead to foundation sinking, and they are weather and the soil. All changes occur in weather. The soil expands and contracts, leading to shifting. It's not uncommon for building to settle up to inch when it is first built. So how do you know if building is sinking? First, foundation cracks, which we don't find. One of the most obvious signs that you have a problem with foundation sinking or sanding is finding noticeable cracks in your foundation walls. Also, most of the buildings in Moscow don't have any of that. Cracks in the walls or above window and door frames, almost nothing. Sticking doors or windows and uneven force, nothing at all. So all this may be already repaired, but I didn't see any of that on the pictures in 19th century or any of that. So what I'm trying to say, Dustin, is actually that supports what I was saying, because London was actually constructed on that clay that already sunk the previous areas of the city that was called they called it Londonium in ancient history.
Londinium. Yep.
Yeah, Londinium. Yeah, as Paris was also constructed mostly on the clay and the previous remains of Leticia, probably the city of Leticia or something, or Lucitia, something like this. So all those cities had different names before when they were antique, and that antique empire actually had a very vast coverage and so on. So that was called antique because everybody else remembered is as antique, right? Because it doesn't have any reference to any nations. That's why I'm saying there was any nation, and there were non-nation topics there. They just believed every person is created equal, is what I believe. Okay.
Share that screen. That's the definitions of what you're talking about, clays and soils. This is from my
yeah. So
this is from my high school geography.
Everything built on those soils that were flooded each and every time they did a reset. And once they did a reset in one certain region, they fill it with people, move to the next one. That's what I was saying. Maybe they can do it, in different parts at the same time. Who knows? But I'm not saying. I never said it. I never said it was something like a simultaneous or I don't know, something global at the same time or natural. I never said that. I was just saying it could be natural, but it doesn't look like. It looks intentional.
And then when you couple in the mining stuff, like
sure,
we've been talking about, you begin to get into some like motive type discussion, but we don't need to get. I'm literally just interested in researching this stuff,
Yeah, and if you go to soil maps,
I don't buy the sinking. So yeah, to underline what we're saying here and what you just said about what you were explaining, that lines up too. I agree. I don't think these buildings are sinking. I think it's attributed to either radial street pattern or the terraforming and like sandboxing stuff, moving soil here and there, even making islands with the sludge, the slurry.
That is related to the period after. All this planning was started after the cleanup, because during the cleanup. I mean, after everything was already buried and everything needs to be excavated or planned, there go the planners, and they prepare the city for population that is upcoming. It's called reconstruction, planning, whatever you want to call it. In some cities, you see they just cut off the hills, but I don't think Buffalo was a hill area, right? So your explanation of planning and creating a huge waste of mud and clay and burying them, those existing buildings, doesn't relate to logical on the city scale. You can do it in some certain places, like houses near the river. You can put them a little bit to be higher above the water, so it won't be flooded. That is a good explanation. But if you say that somewhere up city, I don't know,
Philip,
it's called downtown, right? Why is it called downtown?
This was all a canal, I believe. They're hiding the fact that this was all canal.
Is it called downtown?
We call it downtown.
Yeah, why?
You see this is Washington, D.C. You see how Washington, D.C. has a canal through it like this?
Yeah, just answer
Okay.
me simple question. You an American person, why do you call the center of the city the historical center downtown?
Yeah, because you're going downtown. I hear what you're saying. It's probably under. That's a great point. Yeah.
Because you have some city there. It's
Yeah.
always there, and it's
Now,
a
hold
just
on. Watch this, Philip. Hold
existence
on.
of the previous city, man.
Cleveland has the canal through it. Okay. Washington has a canal through it. Why? What's different about Buffalo? It doesn't have the canal through it, but it has the whole face front of it. Where are we? Where are we? Oh, I'm like, I look at this, Philip, is what I'm saying, dude. This was, I believe, these were canals before, just like in Cleveland, and they covered it up, and I pretty much
Yeah.
just showed proof that they can do that with
Yeah,
the.
I can totally agree with your evidence that you presented that this was abandoned city, abandoned canals. Nobody was cleaning them from the mud that
And they
flooded there
covered it up.
before. Yeah, and nobody could live there. Look at those look at the houses that you were showing on those pictures. Nobody lived there. And that is just the way to bring some life into those areas that were, non-existent, non-inhabited. Nobody lived there because you cannot have anything in those areas. It's mud everywhere. You cannot even walk in the street, man.
So look at that. You see how this is wood? Some dude recently found like a wooded street in Chicago and put it on
wooden
TikTok.
pavements. Yeah, pavement with the wood. It's just
Like
very
if you
common
don't
thing.
think that water was underneath this, and these are from books that I found in like on archive.org, 1888 Buffalo right here, boom. These are where I'm getting these pictures. Anybody can find these pictures. If you don't think that that's wood, some dude recently found wooden pavers underneath Chicago paved street, and they were wooden because they're probably covering up old canals. There's a canal, I believe, in going through Chicago too. I think that they just covered up the fact that these were all radial canals. Some of the spokes of the radial pattern, Philip, I believe, were probably canals, and they were taking the water in, and
We've been talking about transportation system with I don't know.
Let me show this
Actually,
clip
don't
too.
remember. People used naval transport majorly in the Antique area, so that's why all the cities were canals in most of the cities, and all the Star Force located near the rivers, man.
This is the reason why I believe Buffalo is also a very important city. Some might say San Francisco is the original name of San Francisco, by the way, is Yerba Bueno. Okay. Yerba Bueno.
Fort Ross. Google Fort Ross.
There you go.
That is San Francisco, actually.
Oh, okay, here we go. This is one of the reasons why I'm building a story here in Buffalo, that I think it's an old city and it's very important. And let's listen. I've shared this before.
Well, one of the great things that Lake Erie gives us is this oceanic view over 200 miles of water to the west. It's just spectacular to sit out there and watch the sunset over the water, and that's something no one else in the eastern U.S. has, because all our other cities, Boston, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, they don't have sunsets over the water. We do. That's something no one else in the eastern U.S. has, because all our other cities, Boston, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, they don't have sunsets over the water. We do.
Also, we have really good pizza here, but and not just chicken wings, Philip. Our pizza is known because the specific minerals in the water, the spirit in the water, if you will, allows the dough to rise more. So you could take that however you want. But I'm going to continue to follow up on that research on my channel. But it's always been known in Buffalo, not only for chicken wings, obviously, but we have really good pizza because our dough rises more. Chicago has deep dish, yeah, whatever. Get that out of here. Professionally speaking, it's kind of a little ball busting like I do with you, the crushing curmudgeon. That's it. Yeah, I love that. Obviously, so people know we're friends and we can bust chops like that, if you will. And our dough rises because of our water in Buffalo. So there you go. It's pretty special.
Let's see. So returning to what I was trying to say. So four signs of this foundation is sinking and settling. Foundation cracks in the walls, sticking doors and uneven floors, which you don't see on ancient evidence. So it's not sinking, it's not settling. All these ancient streets were sitting perfectly and fine, just like they do today. So none of this related actually to the real life evidence. And that's the answer to that dude who wrote the original comment. It doesn't relate to real life evidence, in what I can see actually. And also wanted to talk about hopper dredge, all this stuff. I don't think it's a good resolution. But you know, guys, they make islands in this method, and this method can easily flood the city and the nearby areas in a night with this sand and mud.
And you can also use a monitor, a hydraulic monitor, to completely devastate a city. In my opinion, if you can devastate a cliff face,
we don't see devastated cities. We see cities fine. We just see mud that is covering first 2-3 floors, which are below the ground right now. That's what we see right now.
Or
I see. If you don't see that, that is none in your city. Well, we come to Moscow. I will show you a bunch of places. Go to my channel to visit its place. You find out those buildings do exist, and they didn't settle or sediment a centimeter for hundreds of years, because they were filmed in 19th century, they were filmed in 20th century, and they filmed right now by me, and you can see the level didn't change. So it changed before they were filmed, and they were filmed before the level did change before 1850s, is what I believe the mudflood period was in Moscow, for example.
In my last video, I showed how they had a whole city. It's called Despatch. It was called Despatch, New York. Now it's East Rochester. They had the whole city planned out, and the whole city was empty because they, in a little excerpt, and this is my last video where I did the actual the Pantai landslide.
I've seen you go fishing there.
Okay, yeah, near there. Okay. They're actually selling. There's a little excerpt on the actual map from the Library of Congress that says the businesses and the houses are already ready. Like the whole city was laid out ahead of time. So there you go. It's terraformed and sandboxed and laid out for you ahead of time. Whether or not stuff was here before, impossible architecture, literally that matters not when we're talking about this part of the niche of the rabbit hole. Like if the stuff's all laid out ahead of time, that accounts for it all effectively. Keep it moving downstream. You know, it's in the wake effectively. We addressed it. And I don't think it's I don't think it's sinking. And I don't believe in a worldwide catastrophe of a mudflood inundation. I think it's all sandboxed back and forth, mined. And that's a sensitive subject, you know, literally. I've got, you know, whatever. I'm not going to get into it, but one that you shared of mine, Philip, got removed.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about this huge, super large burial ground in Irkutsk. And I'm going to read some articles about it. So you enter the park. To the left of the alley, there is a substation. A huge number of graves have been discovered there, says Nikolai Savelyev, head of Laboratory of Paleoecology and Human Evolution in the Department of Archaeology, Ethnology, and Ancient History of Irkutsk State University. Irkutsk was and is located on the Lake Baikal, the biggest freshwater lake, as you know. During the construction of this substation, 20 graves were destroyed, as archaeologist Vladimir Bezalitsky. In general, until 1997, the excavations were mainly of a rescue nature. From 1980 to 1997, 87 burials were uncovered at the burial ground. In total, about 80 graves have been uncovered to the left of here. Approximately the same number have not been yet excavated in the park. They are not opened specifically in order to later carry out museification. According to the head of Archaeology Department of the Service for the Protection of Cultural Heritage of the Irkutsk region, Mikhail Sklarevsky, only the Kitai culture of Glazovsky necropolis is at least 100 graves. So what I'm saying, at this place consists of around 100 to 200 to maybe 300 graves, which are, you know, naturally locked, and it's naturally sealed by the ground, and nobody ever touched them. This is the best way to do excavations, and they don't do them. They just save
Share
stuff
that.
you cannot share anything because it's just an article. It's just a text. Let's say there's an article. It's called "Look beneath your feet. There is a museum. Look under your feet. There's a museum." Let me just
share my screen. So
share your screen.
Just to give people an idea.
Yeah,
of how
just
doing
doing something like this. They found out that there is a huge burial place in Irkutsk, the largest in the world, the largest sealed archaeological site, and they don't excavate it just because they don't have any money, is what they say.
Hey, Phil, I want to say something. This isn't just a picture that I found online. Okay, this is from my book here. This is an unabridged Exploration Colorado. This is on the copyright of this. It says published in Canada by General Publishing Company. This is
just like they found in Canada, guys. Remember, they found a burial place in Canada of kids not that long ago. In some kids' asylum, around 200 people were found.
Unabridged. This is unabridged, unaltered. Well, this is published 1961. Unabridged, unaltered from 1895. That's where this picture is from. This book right here.
1895. It's a
general
20th century.
So then, look at. I just wanted to show this. I'm not. I don't think I even need to vocalize this. And I know it sounds completely unbelievable. I'm not discounting geology. I'm not discounting the regular process of erosion. I have that book here, my high school geography one. I explained all that. Certainly would be a good way to hide the fact if we were in the Bronze Age for a very long period of time. We had, for example, this type of machinery hidden from us for a very long time. Could it be? Allegedly. I'm not claiming that. I'm proposing the idea of it because we're allowed to with stuff like this, okay? I think we've been here for way longer. We'll address that in another time. Look what's going on. Look how easy it is to lay track. You could lay this track. You could lay railroad. You can lay canal. Come on. How do you? This could all be tailings from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Not geologic time. I'm talking like eternal time. That's my belief system. We won't address that. But I'm trying to get you guys to think as Philip has. Philip pretty much planted this seed in me of the mining and stuff just getting moved back and forth. And I don't buy into the whole catastrophism thing. You know, I completely disagree with Randall Carlson's bolide impact of the Laurentide ice sheet. I completely just put out an argument against that. He talked about that on Toe Rogan. So yeah, change my mind. Let's have some, I don't know, we're having some professional discourse right now, Philip, that's all I'll say. And look at this. You got a mine here. Look at this surface open mining in Bulfontein Diamond Mine, South Africa. Massive. And they had the equipment to do it. So, dredging.
Yeah, we can only speculate on what we see, guys, because actually there's no evidence of this huge machinery that actually could have done those tracks and those marks that are left. Although we see some evidence in the post-mudflood, post-reset area, or not area, but the timeline.
Well, so Phil, how often do you see? You know what, though, Phil? Seriously, though, how often does anybody drive by and see this equipment anywhere? Literally, like unless you're working there in these huge open pit mines, you're not going to see it. So I hear you. There's no evidence of it, but there is evidence of quarries getting inundated and them flooding stuff. I just showed that the Pantai landslide. I'm alleging possibly that the Zanclean flood could have been done by this. Like they could have flooded the Mediterranean like they did the Pantai landslide. Allegedly, could it be? That is a huge statement, and I'm not saying it's a claim. It has to be on the table, though. So.
Yeah. Also, I was scheduling stuff about World War II, and I was asking you to do a chat with me on World War II to get prepared from your American narrative that you can get, and so we can discuss that topic more clear. As to spoiler that conversation, I found that article about President Roosevelt.
That's one heck of a segue, by the way.
What are you talking about?
From the mining, to just right into the World War II. Of course, but
just because we I think we're done with that back and forth discussion, and I probably answered that person about sinking. Although there's a huge block information that we should also be touching, but we're just jumping from one to another. So let's say I just make a video exactly on that comment, and we'll finish that a little bit later. Okay, so what I found.
Addressed it. So I think that we addressed it sufficiently enough. I don't agree with
most of the information should be exchanged in this way, because you cannot just answer all the statements of certain person that doesn't even know what you're talking about. So now he knows what we're talking about. He can ask it again with specification of his question. That would be fine, because I think we answered about settling, about windows, about the possible cause, how it can be proceeded, how it can be, the city can be planned. Also, these hills can be cut, the dirt can be moved, and that is all okay. All the London has this sediment problem because it's built on clay. Why it's built on clay? Because clay came before it was built. Okay, that is really simple.
And you can incorporate scale all the way up to the Pantai landslide. And I watched my last video to see how big that is.
Whenever you have hills areas, you have mountains, you can have landslide, okay, and that is fine for an explanation if you have some hills. But if you have a valley like we have in Russia, huge Russian valley, is Great Russian Valley, you call it. It's a very flat place with probably no level change at all, but generally flat. You don't have something like that. So there's no explanation that can say that something slides from some hill or something. Nothing like this could exist. But it could be dredged.
I disagree. Like if you know that the level of this land level is lower than the sea level, for example, in the Mediterranean for the Zanclean flood, and you breach that the pillars of, like, I really think that their symbolism of the two pillars, the pillars of Heracles is Gibraltar. And boy, wouldn't that be such a coincidence that they use that as their symbolism, and they were able to open that gap. And if they had I don't even know who they are, but if the possibility of this stuff was around at that time, and they say the Zanclean flood, Philip, was like 5 million years ago, 5.33 million years ago. I don't buy that geologic time. It could have been a lot closer, I think, even though I think it's eternity. I'm still trying to work that out.
But we don't find any evidence of brick constructions related to 19th century, and the cities with these constructions can now be found flooded in the seawater. We don't find that.
What do you mean? What are you saying?
I'm saying that if you have a construction that dates to, for example, 17th, 16th, 15th century, or the city filled with this construction, you don't find those cities in the sea bottom, right?
Yeah,
they're up there, and they're safe and sound. Sometimes you do find some floodings, like what they do with the dams. They pull the dam to the river and they flood the area. Therefore, and you have you have to move stuff from there. You have to move people, move cities, and you just abandon those cities. But that's a recorded case, okay? And you're exactly right. You cannot trust the dating that they do. And of course, 5 million years, 5,000 years, that's just unimaginable, unevident numbers that just pull from. They're baseless. They don't have any water. They don't hold any water. Just like Phoenicians, they don't hold any water.
Hold on. I'm glad you said that. Hold on. Sure. While you say that, I'm glad you brought that up, Philip. This guy. Okay. Also, hold on. You mentioned Lake Baikal. Another movie reference for you. You might be familiar with this one. Okay. It's called The Way Back. Ed Harris is in it, and Colin Farrell is in it. And allegedly, it's a story where a couple guys break out of a gulag in northern Siberia, and they allegedly walk from northern Siberia all the way down through China, or all the way through Russia, all the way through Mongolia, through China, all the way to India. And they flank at one point in time Lake Baikal. And I always had a fascination for Lake Baikal because it is the largest reserve of fresh water in the world as far as a lake goes. It doesn't have the largest surface area, but it's so deep that it holds more water than all lake. You know, I have appreciation for that because the lakes that are next to me, we have a lot of water here too, but not as much as Lake Baikal does. Now, that said, I have this book, Philip. Okay. Now, do you see that's the copyright date. You got these guys. Okay. And you got these guys. That says, let me open it up for you, Philip. And you want to say it's, I know you're busting balls. But when I open up a book, it's that date.
So
why do you say that, Philip?
what?
Because it's the Phoenix and it's fake and they usurped everything allegedly. Yeah, I get it. You know what? I respect that now.
I'm just not blaming everything on
I'm not
some
blaming anybody.
nation that was recorded only for trading and merchant ships.
I'm just researching.
I know people who do blame Phoenicians for everything. So that's what I say. I'm just saying that is not correct.
I'm not
You
against
cannot
anything.
blame Phoenicians for anything. Just they recorded for trading and merchants.
Well, you know, their religion is can be debated and everything. And, you know, Phoenician red equals.
You mean Judaism? You have something against?
No,
Judaism?
Canaanite religion. There you go. We'll talk about that another. Absolutely not Judaism, Semite stuff. No.
Anyone with that religion right now.
Hey, all I'll say about that is Phoenician red equals Tyrian purple. And we'll talk about that another time. I got a whole idea about that. I think that they admire Hannibal with the whole one eye. Hannibal lost 33,000 men going over the Alps.
How does the city of Hannibal was called?
Carthage. Was Carthage, yeah. And that's a settlement of Phoenice, Phoenician.
And have you seen my videos about Crow Crown and what car and core? Why is it everywhere? And why is it related to reset?
No, I got to bone up on that. Sounds like great.
That's your problem because you haven't seen it. All this stuff is related to car, core, and you find it everywhere. Corona.
Yeah, I say potato. You say potato. I mean, if you're talking about,
it's the same because Corona and crown and crow.
I get it.
All one symbolism.
I know.
Including bomberos and bombs and
bombards, Greek fire.
Yeah,
I get it.
And all this Fahrenheit 451 book also discusses this topic.
Let me explain that.
Bomberos and
let me explain why we
do reset stuff.
Let me explain why I had that inkling with you, Philip. Because every time I bring up the Phoenicians, only with research.
I'm just saying we have real evidence of people doing stuff in 19th, 18th century. They have symbolism that is used right now in 20th, 21st century. And you bring all this blame to somebody who is recorded way back in the time just for traveling and merchanting, and you blame those people. If you have this real evidence, why do you blame the people you don't have evidence at all? Just because of purple color? That is a great explanation.
I'm just researching, and I made that parallel because I know the Tyrian.
Watch the videos about the car, Crow, and Corona, and Ray Bradbury. There's just 4 videos there, and you understand everything I'm talking about.
I will. I'm on board with everything you just said. What I'm saying is I kind of admire the way that you just kind of blow it off because it's like, like.
No, I'm not blowing off. I'm just not blaming certain group of people for the shit that they didn't even do.
Yeah, I get it.
They didn't even exist in 19th century. Nobody recorded them in 19th century, but you record bomberos everywhere in 19th century.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it. Plus, that's Phoenician, the Phoenix, the rising from the Phoenix, like what I say about the old order, I think that they probably did change it from barter to a capitalist system, whatever. I'm not against any of it. I'm just
Well,
literally
you
trying
can
to
find
research it. So
you can find three most blamed nations in the world that did everything wrong and did everything bad. First one
Allegedly.
is British nation. Everybody's blaming the British for everything because that's British Empire and colonialism and all that stuff.
Dresden.
Second one is Jews.
Dresden.
Jews, have everything, all this money and all
Speaking
this
of
stuff.
Neil.
And Russians, because Russians are way better than anybody else because British and Jews blame Russians for everything.
Dude,
this is like
Americans get a
stupid.
bad rap too. I don't think that we've ever left. I don't think
we
that we've ever
forgot
left
Americans. We forgot Americans, guys.
Dude, we've never left Pax Romana. I don't think, or at least how.
I don't think you're Americans then, because you're British. You're not Americans.
How dare you?
Yeah,
How
because
dare
you're British
you?
influence. You do everything British say, so that you're
Bruce.
British.
This
You like
guy.
Australian. You like New Zealand people. You are influenced by British. That's what we can say. And you have
How
Jews
fucking
too.
dare you, Philip?
You have more Jews than Jerusalem. You know that?
Well, what kind are you talking about? The real, like the based Torah following Jews, or the ones that?
No,
say
I'm
that
not
they're
blaming.
Jews and
I'm not.
eat
I
bacon?
never blame a
Me
certain
neither.
group. And well, you said the Phoenicians. Somebody is worrying about Phoenicians.
Who's making the parallel of Phoenicians to Jews or America or England, like you just said? I'm not.
And this is the same area, guys. Phoenicians were in Palestine. Palestine is where Israel right now. If you
And
remember,
Semite means Arab too, so that makes no sense to me.
Of course, it's just brotherhood people, like we, the Slavic group of people, also brothers. But right now we all divided.
Of course, there's dogmatic tribal stuff that happens.
Yeah,
like
they
right?
divide nations. They blame each nation for everything. This is what they do.
Allegedly.
Once they stop blaming Jews, they blame Russians. Once they stop blaming Russians, they blame Americans or Chinese. Remember Chinese virus next year? We're coming up with Chinese aggression, right?
Man, it's all gravy. I just like it, researching it. I don't want to be.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to talk about your President Roosevelt, who came to Yalta conference, as you know, and there was a interesting case, when he was almost, let's say, I'm gonna read it.
Philip's gonna read it.
Roosevelt incident.
World War II section. My library.
Awards for the conference were received for many of the Chekists who secured the regime in the special zone where the leaders of the world leading powers were. Yalta conference was one of the biggest conferences at that time during World War II, because it was located in Yalta, which is Crimea, and it was barely safe. So they have a bunch of NKVD and KGB people there just to secure the area for Roosevelt and Churchill and Stalin to be safe enough to meet. So you understand what I'm saying. Already at the end of the same month, a decree was issued awarding almost 300 employees of NKGB. This is like a Russian CIA, something like that. However, those awarded with orders and medals was no one who managed to save the President of the United States from death. The name of this person is Fyodor Khodakov. He was just security lieutenant, position first category scout driver. During Yalta conference, an experienced specialist from the Kremlin Special Purpose Garage was sent to Crimea, and there were authorities appointed the lieutenant as a personal attached driver to the President of the United States. For Roosevelt, the Americans delivered several cars to Crimea. These include a huge armored Lincoln, a 2 Cadillac in limousines, and so on. The president made official trips in these executive cars. And for private Crimean raids, which we did a lot during that conference, the head of the United States preferred open wheelies. Since Mr. Roosevelt could not walk and moved in his wheelchair, the Jeep was re-equipped. Instead of front passenger seat, there was a platform for installing a special chair, and on the right side, there were no doors on these wheelies. A swivel headrail was attached, which the president could lean on. It was a brisk jeep that Roosevelt went after the end of the next meeting from Livadia, which he wanted to purchase Livadia. That's an area near Yalta from Stalin, and he wanted to pay a lot of money for that area because he liked it very much. He wanted to spend his after presidency with his family there, and he admired the magnificent Crimean views. We know about further events from the words of Fyodor Kadykov, that driver's son, Gennady. Here's a snippet of his story posted before this event. Two black bodyguards transplanted Roosevelt from a wheelchair to the right front seat of the Jeep, and apparently through negligence loosely closed a special metal railing behind him, which played the role of door. It was necessary to drive around 20 kilometers. They moved quickly. This is one of the requirements for the safe movement of presidents. At a sharp bend, President's rail unexpectedly swung open, and Roosevelt, losing support, began to fall outward onto the mountain road further to the creek. The presidential bodyguards froze in a daze, did not even budge, but the father, he's talking about his father, who was a driver of Roosevelt, reacted instantly. Without abandoning the steering wheel, he was able to literally grab the fallen president with his right hand on the fly. And then he stopped the car and his craft off the neck, and he pulled it back into passenger seat. He pulled him back. The carriage immediately stopped. Members of the American delegation, security guards in the front of everyone, and presidential personal physician, Dr. Howard Bruin, ran up to limp and frightened Roosevelt. And that is a real story. And so they didn't even give him a medal for that. And only after certain years, presidential wife Eleanor Roosevelt came to Russia and thanked him one more time, and that's it. Didn't give him anything, And why it's so important? Because he was actually going to his Livadian residence that he wanted to purchase from Russia. What are you showing?
Well, I just showed a whole bunch of World War II books that I can use, but I also have a whole bunch of, these are all from my grandfather.
So what I'm saying is this incident covers a conspiracy theory. Actually, because there's a theory that Roosevelt and his wife wanted to purchase Crimea from Stalin after World War II. And I've been talking about that before. There's some evidence of that.
That's some gravy right there, for sure.
Yeah, that's some evidence of that. And they wanted to purchase not even the Crimea, but they wanted to purchase the exact place. And so, and probably somebody didn't want it. And I'm not saying that it's conspiracy theory, but how Roosevelt died himself. You know about kiss of death? All that story that happened to him?
Oh, yeah, polio.
Not polio. How did he die exactly?
Not sure.
Not sure. I'm saying to you that the story tells us that he had a private painter who was Russian origin. She was a female, and she and him.
Let me guess.
Kind of like
poisoned him.
They say it.
You fucking Ruskies and you're poisoning. I'll tell you what.
And this story about Crimean driver and saving Roosevelt also shows that they didn't even lock his door. His bodyguards didn't lock his door. This special thing that's supposed to hold him. You know?
Sounds like somebody knew a guy who knew a guy on the inside, huh?
And they didn't help him while he was falling. They didn't even grab him. They were sitting in the back, two of his bodyguards.
Suspect.
Yeah, and once he came back after all this World War II, he suddenly dies from the kiss of death. So they probably wanted to blame Russia for Roosevelt death. I don't know, because that was unthinkable. The plan that was called Unthinkable, which was managed exactly after World War II was at the end, after Russian and American troops met in Germany, British wanted to engage all those German troops that were, kept as hostages, as prisoners of war, to arm them against Russian aggression and Russian occupation, and move those people with help of British and American troops into Russian territory in Germany, Poland, and so on. So, and that plan was called Unthinkable. And as I'm gonna do it in that next video about World War II. I want you to also dig into this, because I'd like
I'll
your
look that
opinion.
up. Actually, it's a key word I could look up in these books that I just showed. Unthinkable. I wonder if they have it referenced at all. I'll
It's all related to Churchill and Stalin, and they have a very bad relationship. Actually, Stalin was also always putting Churchill down in conversation, because Churchill was also always proposing some stuff that is in favor of his nation without any
Grabler, straight up Grabler.
Yeah, he wanted to always do something that is hurts Soviets or American interests.
Yeah, Stalin was probably like, "Yo, shut up, man." Like, what are you
No.
about?
He was just saying, like, Churchill would speak, tell him blah 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 blah, and then Stalin said one sentence, and said like, no, guys.
Right. What was that thing called? That plan? What do you say?
Like for example, Churchill wanted to have a landing of Allied troops in Yugoslavia. Do you know about that? He didn't want to go through France. He wanted to go through Yugoslavia. And so
you mean they did a ruse to make them think they were going to go through Italy?
No, Italy was safe because they already landed in Italy, but Italy was
Churchill called that you had that northern wall. Churchill called Italy the soft underbelly of the Reich.
Yeah, allegedly. they already got it in 43, 44, and they wanted to do a next landing operation, and that landing operation that was called opening second front. They called second front because Italy wasn't the second front. It was just not very good example, but they wanted to do a second front in France, as what they did in that huge operation of landing in France. That's called the D-Day operation. D-Day, right?
Come on, man.
So Roosevelt,
I got a book for that.
Said, why don't you want them to go through Yugoslavia? He said, because France is the shortest way to Berlin. Why do you want to go through Yugoslavia if you can go through France? Go through France because it's shortest. You won't lose as many Americans as you would lose if you go through Yugoslavia.
The shortest place between 2 points is a straight line.
Yeah, and Roosevelt said, yes, you're right. We don't want to lose anybody. And so, but, as you know, they lost a bunch of people there.
Like they care about that. Because what do they do to Dresden? I mean, they care.
Dresden is
another episode. I'm just saying.
Another episode. It doesn't relate to any opening of second front or discussions with. It's just
no. What you just said.
Episode.
Hold on. What you just said. They're trying to think practically. You just alluded to something that you're trying to think practically. You can't apply that to Dresden, so it's like they're not thinking practically. Obviously, there's other intention there. That's all I wanted to say that for. They have other motive. That's all I wanted to identify.
Dresden. It was Hamburg. It was Cologne. But only about Dresden. But it was every German city.
I hear you.
Every
Dresden was out of strategic zone, and they completely raised it. They didn't need to. That's all I'm saying. That's not practical. That's intent and motive, whatever. That is another episode, though.
It's just showing of power. They wanted Germans to leave their positions in the Western Front and go to hold Russians as long as possible so the Americans could reach Berlin faster. That's what they wanted. And they didn't achieve that goal because Russians brought so many, like 3 million troops to Berlin and captured it very fast.
Oh, yeah.
Russians came to Berlin fast. Russians opened Vienna, and that is just was
they
a big
first. They made it first to the Reichstag.
Yeah, it was a big butthurt for Churchill because Churchill didn't expect that. Actually,
well, Patton was trying to get there too. That was the whole thing.
Yeah, of
too.
course. So let's not just wrap it up.
Yeah, I
That
know,
was
right?
just the story about Crimea, Roosevelt, Churchill, and all that stuff is coming up later. Just write me in the comments, guys, if you want to talk about
Yeah,
it.
I don't mind adding more homework to my plate, Philip. Thanks, man. Now I got to do all research on World War II.
Yeah.
No, what was the name of that operation though that you cited? I'm gonna look up.
Unthinkable.
There you go. All right, yeah, I appreciate it. I don't think it's sinking.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a worldwide or realm-wide mudflood inundation. There you go.
The Berserker needs to understand how communication works. Always interjecting. Super annoying.
I do interrupt you, but you know what? Oh well. I got to work on that. Thank you for the feedback.
In Greek mythology, Coronis is a Thessalian princess and a lover of Apollo. She is the daughter of Peleus, king of Lethe and Cleophema. Yeah, there's a bunch of names, and they use this crow, and corona stuff everywhere. They do. They just, mark this brand everywhere. Are deducted. Jew and Zionist are different. Of course. We don't blame anybody.
What up, Cam?
Sorry, Philip. You're a terrible arguer.
It was a good conversation with.
Thanks. I don't want to argue. I just want to prove, because I can't argue with person. I just trying to prove my evidence, and that's it. Because
I can't see the chat.
Bad.
Anyway, so Cam, what's up, dude? That was a dope.
Yeah, you can see the chat
Paul.
if you go to.
And Bernard, I listened to that last night. What's up, Cam?
Oh. And that's probably it. That was probably it for today. Dresden was carpet bombed in order to destroy the leftover old tech and buildings from the previous generation before the reset. Yeah, of course. I'm saying all Germany is located on the previous constructions, and they even have a bunch of toponyms there from the previous times. They even know it. They have it in museums.
Plain sight. Yeah, I like the feedback. I don't mean to interrupt you and stuff, and this is kind of a back and forth thing. So,
no, they just probably mean that you jump from one topic to another while I'm trying to say something.
I definitely do that, but whatever.
Philip isn't proud of Russia or anything. Well, how can you be proud of a country that is not actually doing enough? You cannot be proud of any government right now. Tell me an example of a government who is doing well. Probably one that is called Belarusian government, which is blamed right now for corruption and totalitarianism. He was the one who wasn't even put in pandemia there. And now he's blamed for everything to be the dictator. Look at the video that I made about dictatorship technology.
I love Russia. I also love America.
Just guys, name me the best country right now. Who is the best country? If you think we should be proud of some country, we should be proud of people, I think.
Here's the deal. Be proud of your own country. I'm proud of my country, regardless of what's going on.
Corporations. Governments are corporations. Again, yes, exactly. They have
definitely can.
They have legal patents and numbers recorded in London. Every government has it. We all have certain number, which is called security number or whatever. So do countries have, and they are just agents like we are.
Corporations, yeah. In the capitalist system, corporations are looked at just like persons. Just like persons, yeah. But I'm not a person. I'm not a person. I'm a living human being. That's the thing. I don't subscribe. We can debate that, but I'm not a person. I am a living human being. And so I distinguish myself from the Babylon system, if you will.
Kalum land is the best.
Kalum, what's up, dude? Yo, dude abides. Hold on, where is my Kalum? Dude abides, brother.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, for waking you up too early today. If you were sleepy, we just wanted to do it early today.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you and jumping in and
No problem. I'm already used to that.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, everybody. See you later.
Thanks,
Bye.
Philip.